What it do, bruh? Talk of the town, Nintendo, Doc Trey, still holding it down, still make the best games, and you know this, bro. It's the truth. If you don't like it, you can have that seatbelt.
Alright, so this is extremely interesting. So, Nintendo, after, I believe, just saying at their financials that they weren't into acquiring studios, has just acquired a studio. So, they just bought Shiver Entertainment. Now, if you guys don't know who Shiver Entertainment is, these are the developers that ported over Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat 1, and also Hogwarts to the Nintendo Switch. And it's crazy about the Mortal Kombat 1 thing because a lot of people were dunking on Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch, the port, and the media was running with the narrative that about how terrible the game looked pre-patch and at launch. And everybody was running with that narrative. Everybody was showing these same pictures over and over of things that I told you guys were clearly bugs. And the game looks substantially better than it did at launch. And none of these sites are reporting on it, just like I told you was going to happen. But luckily, Nintendo was smart enough to pay attention. And they were impressed by this studio, as they should be. And they've acquired them. Now, what's very interesting about this is that, at least initially, even though Nintendo will own this studio, it looks like the games that they're working on will not be entirely exclusive to Nintendo platforms. So it says, by welcoming Shiver's experienced and accomplished development team, Nintendo aims to secure high-level resources for porting and developing software titles. Going forward, even after it becomes part of the Nintendo Group, Shiver's focus will remain the same, continuing commissions that port and develop software for multiple platforms, including Nintendo Switch. So what they're saying there is that even though they will be fully owned by Nintendo, they're still going to be able to port games and work on ports for other studios. I'm sorry, for other platforms. Probably namely the Xbox and PlayStation. Now, I believe the reason for this is because they already had so many contracts in the works and so many projects in the works for these other games and for these other platforms that Nintendo was like, well, whatever, just finish those out. So that's probably how it's going to be for the next few years or so, which is fine. But it looks like Nintendo is aggressively pursuing third-party games for the Switch 2. This is pretty much them buying their own panic button. And a lot of you guys are like, well, why don't they just buy panic button? Maybe they will. But what this means is that Nintendo is trying to help ensure that there is no excuse for third-party games or certain third-party games to come to Switch 2. So if Nintendo goes to talk to a publisher like, hey, what do you think about bringing this game to Switch 2? And they're like, oh, well, you know, we would, but we don't have the resources. Bam! Here's Shiver. Make it happen. So this is really great news because the initial thoughts on Mortal Kombat 1 aside, this is a great studio. And like I told you guys before, the Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch today looks completely different than how it looked at launch, and these pictures that people continue to push on you and try to tell you how horrible the game looks when it really doesn't look anything like that anymore. But this is good news. And Shiver Entertainment has multiple projects in the pipeline, including original IPs. So that's also where it really gets interesting. So yeah, Nintendo bought them to port games for Switch 2, but they're also working on their own original games. So we'll see how those turn out. And those will more than likely, unless they've already gotten in contracts with the other platform holders, those original IPs that they're working on, those could end up being Nintendo exclusives, or at the very least, they will at least come to Switch 2. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I think this is great news.